You think depression looks like crying in a dark room, but psychology shows the most dangerous depression knows exactly how to smile. It is answering emails perfectly and saying you are just tired, while secretly, getting out of bed feels like lifting your body out of deep water. If you keep hiding this pain, your exhausted nervous system will inevitably collapse. I will help you decode this hidden trap and find your way out. Tell me, what city or state in the United States are you in right now? Because wherever you are in that hurried country, consider this a warm hug reminding you that you are not alone today. Hidden depression does not always look like someone crying in a dark room. Sometimes it looks like a person answering emails on time, taking care of everyone else, smiling at the right moments, and saying, "I'm just tired," whenever someone notices the heaviness behind their eyes. That is what makes hidden depression so difficult to recognize. The pain is real, but it has learned how to behave in public. It has learned how to wear clean clothes, meet deadlines, make jokes, and keep conversations moving. From the outside, the person may appear responsible, productive, even successful. But underneath that performance, their mind and body may be working every day just to survive. Hidden depression can influence your habits in ways that seem unrelated to sadness. It can change how you sleep, how you eat, how you react to small mistakes, and how you speak to yourself when no one is listening. These behaviors are not proof that you are weak, lazy, dramatic, or ungrateful. They may be signs that your nervous system has been carrying more pain than you have allowed yourself to acknowledge. Here are 11 things hidden depression can make you do. The first is changing your sleep patterns. For some people, depression makes sleep feel like the only safe place left. You may sleep for 10 hours and still wake up exhausted. You may take long naps, even when you have not done anything physically demanding. Getting out of bed may feel less like beginning a normal day, and more like lifting your entire body out of deep water. It is not always because you are physically tired. Sometimes you sleep because consciousness feels too painful. When you are asleep, you do not have to answer messages, make decisions, disappoint anyone, or listen to the voice in your head listing everything that is wrong with you. Sleep becomes a temporary disappearance. But hidden depression can also do the opposite. You may lie awake for hours while your body is begging for rest. The room is silent, but your mind becomes unbearably loud. You replay conversations from years ago. You remember every mistake you made that day. You imagine future disasters that have not happened. You question whether people truly care about you, whether your life has meaning, and whether you will ever feel like yourself again. Then morning arrives, and you are expected to function as though your mind did not spend the entire night fighting itself. When depression affects sleep, it creates a painful cycle. Poor sleep makes emotions harder to regulate. Ordinary responsibilities begin to feel overwhelming. You become more irritable, more forgetful, and more vulnerable to hopeless thoughts. Then you blame yourself for not functioning well, which adds even more pressure to the mind that was already exhausted. The second thing hidden depression can make you do is develop extreme changes in your eating habits. You may stop eating because food suddenly feels meaningless. Meals that once brought comfort now taste flat. You know your body needs nourishment, but the process of choosing food, preparing it, and cleaning up afterward feels strangely impossible. You may skip breakfast, forget lunch, and realize late at night that you have barely eaten anything. This is not always a conscious attempt to harm yourself. Depression can reduce your ability to feel pleasure. When the mind loses interest in life, it may also lose interest in the tastes, smells, and rituals that once made eating enjoyable. Other people experience the opposite. They eat even when they are not physically hungry. They reach for sugar, bread, fast food, or anything that creates a quick moment of comfort. For a few minutes, eating gives the brain something immediate to feel. The emptiness becomes quieter. The tension softens. The loneliness is covered by sensation. But when the relief fades, shame often takes its place. You may ask yourself why you have no discipline. You may promise to be stricter tomorrow. You may punish yourself with harsh diets, skipped meals, or cruel thoughts about your body. Yet the problem was never simply a lack of self-control. The eating may have been an attempt to regulate pain that had nowhere else to go. Food becomes more than food. It becomes anesthesia, distraction, reward, punishment, and companionship. It becomes a way of filling an emotional space you do not know how to name. The third thing hidden depression can make you do is become destructively perfectionistic. You may set standards for yourself that no human being could consistently meet. You expect yourself to be productive when you are exhausted, calm when you are overwhelmed, generous when you feel empty, and successful while quietly falling apart. A small mistake does not feel small. Sending an email with a typo may feel like evidence that you are incompetent. Forgetting an appointment may trigger hours of self-hatred. Receiving gentle criticism may feel like confirmation of your deepest fear, that you are not good enough and never have been. Perfectionism can look impressive from the outside. People may describe you as driven, reliable, organized, or ambitious. They may admire how much you accomplish without realizing that fear is powering the entire machine. You are not always chasing excellence because it brings you joy. Sometimes you are chasing it because you believe perfection is the only thing preventing people from discovering how broken you feel. You may think that if you perform well enough, nobody will ask difficult questions. If you remain useful, nobody will leave. If you never make mistakes, perhaps you can earn the right to feel worthy. But perfectionism never gives you that permission. Every achievement becomes the new minimum. Every success is dismissed as luck. Every compliment is rejected because you know how much fear, exhaustion, and self-criticism existed behind the result. Hidden depression can turn your life into a courtroom where you are always the defendant, the prosecutor, and the judge. No matter how hard you work, the verdict is the same: not enough. And because everyone sees the polished version of you, they may never realize how brutally you speak to yourself in private. The fourth thing hidden depression can make you do is explode over things that seem small. You may become irritated by a slow driver, a misplaced object, a harmless question, or a sound that normally would not bother you. Someone asks whether you are okay, and instead of feeling cared for, you feel cornered. A minor inconvenience happens, and your reaction feels much larger than the event itself. Afterward, you may feel confused or ashamed. You tell yourself you are becoming difficult. You wonder why you cannot control your emotions. You may apologize repeatedly while still not understanding where the anger came from. But depression is not always quiet sadness. Sometimes it is pressure with nowhere to escape. When grief, disappointment, loneliness, and fear remain trapped inside for too long, the nervous system searches for a release. Anger can become the emotion that finally breaks through because it feels safer than vulnerability. It is easier to say, "Leave me alone," than to say, "I am terrified that I cannot keep living like this." You may not truly be angry about the dirty dishes, the late reply, or the forgotten task. You may be reacting to months or years of feeling unseen, unsupported, and emotionally exhausted. The small event simply becomes the final weight placed on a structure that was already collapsing. This does not mean every harmful reaction should be excused. Pain can explain behavior without making that behavior harmless. But understanding the source allows you to respond with responsibility instead of self-hatred. You are not necessarily an angry person. You may be a hurting person whose sadness has been denied so many times that it learned to speak in a louder language. The fifth thing hidden depression can make you do is lose the ability to explain your own pain. You may be able to talk about work, politics, family problems, movies, or other people's emotions for hours. But when someone looks at you sincerely and asks, "How are you really feeling?" your mind goes blank. You may shrug and say, "I don't know." You may laugh nervously, change the subject, or give the safest answer possible. "I'm fine. Just stressed. It's nothing serious." The truth is that you may not be deliberately hiding the answer. You may genuinely have lost access to it. When emotional pain is ignored for too long, numbness can begin to feel normal. You become so accustomed to suppressing your feelings that you stop recognizing them as they happen. Instead of knowing that you feel lonely, rejected, frightened, or hopeless, you simply feel heavy. You feel tired. You feel wrong. The emotions are still there, but the language connecting you to them has weakened. This can make asking for help incredibly difficult. How do you explain something you cannot clearly name? How do you tell someone that nothing specific happened, yet everything feels unbearable? How do you describe the strange experience of being alive without feeling fully present in your own life? So you remain silent, and the people around you may assume that silence means you do not want help. In reality, you may be waiting for someone patient enough to stay beside you while you search for the words. The sixth behavior in this hidden pattern is forcing yourself to feel grateful when what you actually need is permission to hurt. You may remind yourself that other people have it worse. You have a home, you have food, you may have a family, a job, or people who care about you. Because of these things, you decide that sadness is something you have not earned the right to feel. Whenever pain rises, you silence it with comparison. Someone else is suffering more. I should be grateful. My life is not bad enough for depression. Gratitude can be healing, but not when it is used as a weapon against your own emotions. Being thankful for what you have does not cancel what you have lost. Loving your family does not mean you cannot feel lonely. Having a job does not mean the work is not destroying you. Knowing that someone else has suffered more does not make your suffering imaginary. Pain is not a competition. You do not need to prove that your wound is the deepest before you are allowed to treat it. Toxic gratitude teaches you to feel guilty for being human. It tells you that sadness is a moral failure, and that acknowledging your pain is an insult to everyone who has less. So instead of processing your emotions, you bury them under positive statements you do not truly feel. You smile and say you are blessed, while privately wondering why being alive still feels so difficult. The seventh thing hidden depression can make you do is divide your emotional life into separate boxes. You wake up, put your pain into a box, and go to work. You answer messages, attend meetings, take care of children, help friends, and complete responsibilities. You may appear completely normal because you have trained yourself not to open the box in front of other people. Then you come home, the door closes, the performance ends. The emotions you postponed all day begin leaking out. You may cry in the shower, sit silently in your car, stare at the wall, or collapse into bed without understanding why you can no longer move. By morning, you close the box again. This ability to compartmentalize can be a powerful survival mechanism. It allows you to function during emergencies and continue when stopping does not feel possible. But what protects you in the short term can become dangerous when it turns into a permanent way of living. Emotions do not disappear simply because they have been postponed. They accumulate. Every disappointment you refuse to process, every grief you swallow, and every moment you pretend does not matter is placed into the same hidden container. Eventually, the box becomes too full to remain closed. That is why some people seem to break down over something insignificant. The final event was not the entire cause. It was simply the moment the locked door could no longer hold everything behind it. Hidden depression teaches you how to function while hurting. But functioning is not the same as healing. Survival may have required you to build walls inside your mind. Recovery begins when you realize you are allowed to open those walls carefully, slowly, and with support. The eighth thing hidden depression can make you do is become consumed by questions about purpose, death, and the meaning of your existence. You may find yourself wondering why you are here, what any of this is leading toward, or whether your life has made a meaningful difference. These thoughts can appear while you are driving, working, or lying awake at night. Even when nothing is visibly wrong, you may feel as though you are floating through a life that no longer belongs to you. This is not always a philosophical curiosity. Sometimes the mind searches for a grand purpose because it can no longer feel the smaller reasons for living. When ordinary moments stop bringing comfort, you may begin asking enormous questions, hoping one of them will give you a reason to continue. You search for meaning in books, careers, relationships, spirituality, or constant reinvention. But every answer fades because the problem is not that you have failed to discover the perfect purpose. The problem may be that depression has temporarily disconnected you from your ability to feel meaning at all. You do not need to solve the universe before you deserve support. Sometimes meaning returns through small things: a conversation, a morning walk, a meal, a pet waiting at the door, or one person who makes you feel less alone. Music may sound like noise. Games feel pointless. Art feels distant. Exercise becomes another obligation. You may still remember that these things once made you happy, but the emotional response is gone. This loss of pleasure is called anhedonia. It can make you believe your personality has disappeared. You may criticize yourself for being boring or unmotivated. You may force yourself to participate and feel even worse when nothing changes. But this numbness is not proof that your passions were fake. It may mean your mind is too depleted to access enjoyment right now. The person you were is not necessarily gone. They may be buried beneath exhaustion, stress, and pain. The 10th thing hidden depression can make you do is send out a cry for help and then immediately take it back. You may post something honest late at night, then delete it minutes later. You may begin telling a friend what is happening, only to laugh and say, "I'm being dramatic." You may schedule an appointment with a therapist and cancel it before the day arrives. Part of you desperately wants someone to notice. Another part is terrified of what will happen if they do. Acknowledging depression can make the pain feel official. You may fear being judged, treated differently, or becoming a burden. You may worry that people will think you are unstable, weak, or seeking attention. So you reveal the truth for one brief moment, then rush to cover it again. But wanting someone to see your pain is not attention-seeking. It is connection-seeking. It is the human need to know that your suffering matters to someone other than you. The 11th thing hidden depression can make you do is run away from intimacy. You may be deeply compassionate toward other people. You listen to their problems, offer advice, and show up whenever they need you. But when someone tries to care for you, you become uncomfortable. You change the subject. You become distant. You convince yourself that you need space. Sometimes you end relationships before the other person has the chance to leave. Deep inside, you may believe that closeness is dangerous. If someone sees how much you are struggling, perhaps they will become disappointed. If they discover the parts of you that feel damaged, maybe they will confirm your fear that you are too much to love. So you push people away while secretly wishing they would stay. Hidden depression creates a painful contradiction. You crave connection, but vulnerability feels like exposure. You want to be understood, but being truly seen feels terrifying. If you recognize yourself in these 11 behaviors, please do not use this video as another reason to judge yourself. These patterns may have helped you survive periods when you did not feel safe enough to fall apart. Hidden depression is not a personal failure. It is often a sign that you have been trying to remain functional while carrying pain that deserved care. But survival strategies are not meant to become permanent homes. You are allowed to speak before you reach your breaking point. You are allowed to seek professional support even when your life looks good from the outside. A licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional can help you understand what you are experiencing and find treatment that fits your situation. Taking off the mask does not mean you have lost the fight. It means you are finally choosing not to fight alone. And if your thoughts ever turn toward harming yourself, or you feel that you may not remain safe, contact emergency services or a crisis hotline in your country immediately. In the United States, you can call or text 988 for crisis support. If any part of this felt familiar, you are welcome to share your story in the comments. You do not have to explain everything. Even writing, "I understand this," may help someone else feel less alone. And perhaps that is where healing begins. Not with a perfect answer, but with one honest moment in which you stop pretending that you are